How's it going, everybody? Another installment here from the Wombotster Monster. Got a bit of a review video here today. Just received a shipment in the mail, as you can see right here. So we're going to get back in printing very soon, actually, right after this video. So anyway, I ran out of filament yesterday afternoon. I was printing in wood. Was doing this Mayan calendar right here. As you can see, actually, there's quite a bit of detail. Looks very nice. This is going to be like a 13-inch by 13-inch with a stand and everything. So I might run this again if I get, wood filament. It was kind of a gamble, but I tried it anyway. I thought it might finish because it's very low in fill and very narrow, so it didn't. But again, it was a good example to show some of the detail I could get, even with the wood, which was a little tougher. I had to modify my settings a bit, like up the retraction a little bit to prevent some of the stringing. But the wood definitely seemed to do fine with detail when things were printing vertically. I have a Aztec calendar right here. It's done vertically. It failed, but as you can see, vertically the detail was quite nice. Here is a calendar that completed, but it was flat. It was horizontal, and as you can see, the detail was very poor. Again, my settings, if I change my settings up, I could probably improve this quite a bit, even printing flat. But because I think when I printed this too, it was still on like a lower retraction, like 2, which is a PLA setting. So I know that's part of the reason why I didn't get as good of detail. But I did notice that even when I printed things in PLA vertically, the detail vertically was quite nice. So that was what drew me to this Mayan stand. And again, I might do this again when and if I get wood filament again. I will get some again in the future because there's other things I want to do from wood. Other things I completed in wood was this Zelda blade, courtesy of Thingiverse. Again, this was printed vertically, and you can see the detail came out quite nice, both on the gem and on the insignia here. In the blade, I haven't sanded this at all. It could easily take a little sanding. It just got a little bit liney at the top there, but again, the wood I noticed, because of its properties, I think it dragged a little more against the print, which is why I wanted, like this Aztec one. I actually had 2 that failed in the same fashion, and if you can see here, I was printing it flat vertically, but both of them I tried at a slight angle, like a 10-degree off 90, so about an 80 degree angle instead of 90 degree angle, which was just enough, I think, to kind of push it. Even though it was adhered well, it just kind of pushed it, and as you can see, it kind of cracked the base. So if you are going to do a vertical thing, I just would go with straight 90 unless you have a really good base, because this, as you can see, that's flat right there, and it's at a slight angle. This is at I think 85 degrees, 80 or 85 degree angle, instead of 90, but it has a very large stable base, so that's why it worked out well. Another thing in wood, this Celtic cross came out pretty neat. I haven't done much with this. There was a little stringing that I pulled off the top. As you can see, some of the detail was not super up in these small areas. Again, this was done flat. I was planning to do this again vertically to get some better detail on it, but I ran out of time and filament. I elected to do the Mayan stand, but again, I'll probably do it again in wood. And I'm even going to sand this one up and stain it or paint it. It's a pretty nice piece. And the last thing is the Lexicon, which now you can get a closer look at with all the support removed. Excuse me, this was a long one. This is the base. You can see the lowest quality. This was sanded for only a couple minutes here. I could probably even clean it up a little more with more dedicated sanding and definitely take away some of these detail with some painting or staining. But all the other sides came out quite nice. There's a few little remnants of supports that I could, again, work a little more on, but most of it detached quite easily. And again, this is all wood. Sounds like wood. It feels like wood, even with light sanding. Again, you can still see some of the... I showed some wood pieces to friends at work, and they all like, oh, that's not wood, which you're right. You can still feel sometimes a bit of a plastic-like effect to it, but like I said, I think a previous video, I noticed the more solid you make the object with this wood filament, the more wood-like it is. The thinner and lighter you make it, it's kind of more like a sturdy cardboard. So this, though, I mean, like if you look on this surface, you can still see some of the layering lines, and it almost does have a slight plastic feel. I didn't sand this much, but then this surface, I mean, if you felt this surface, it feels just like 100% real wood on this surface. So that is cool. Like I said, I was gonna probably paint and or stain and sand the sides of this a little different to give it some different features and see how far we can stretch the wood filament, you know. So another thing I didn't get to show was this beauty right here. This was printed in black PLA Hatchbox. This took most of my Hatchbox filament. It is a hominid skull. I got this off Thingiverse. A museum did a laser scan of it and then put the file up, and I printed it. It was, I mean, the detail is fantastic. I did it in 200 micron layers, and you can see all kinds of, like, there's little divots here, which are actual divots in the skull itself. I've seen these fossils before, and I've gone to museums, and like the eye cavities, everything came out great. It was a 40-hour print. Couple reasons. One was the detail. I went down to 200 microns. Two, I put it at 30% infill because I wanted a really sturdy model. And three, I don't know if this was my fault with the way it was sliced or if it was how the file was put up originally, but it's printed with about an inch of support, almost an inch in some areas, that before any part of the model started printing. So if I put this back into CAD or into Slicer or something, I feel like I could probably take away some of that support layer, like even a half an inch. I feel like the model would be fine. But so that, because I noticed that I actually did this twice, and it takes like about 7 to 8 hours for the models, any of the model itself, to actually start printing. The first 6 or 7 hours is support material, just support layers. And I know this too because the first time I printed this, it was running during the daytime, and so I was checking on it a lot, and I kind of underglued my bed, mainly because it was a large model. I thought it was going to have a lot of contact surface, and I wasn't too worried about adhesion. Well, again, I didn't know it was going to print all this support material. So, of course, probably 20% of the supports started coming up after 6 hours. I noticed they came loose, and this made me a little nervous, so I picked up a large chunk. I glued the crap out of the base and managed to stick it back in the place approximately where it was. And it seemed to work fine. It was even printing more support material right above it just fine, so I wasn't too concerned. And then about an hour went by again, a couple hours went by, and I found another piece that was kind of coming up, and it was a large chunk, so I did try to do the same thing, and that was about 13 hours in, and it had at this point printed that much worth of actual model. The rest was like a large portion of support. I left my hand over the bed too long, and the extruder dragged back, and I hit the extruder. Well, the extruder hit my hand, and it knocked it. I didn't damage the machine, fortunately, but it knocked the extruder like right off balance. It just totally screwed up the print, and it started printing support material on the model area, and it was just a mess. So, so I had to just scrap the whole print. So I printed like that for 13 hours. I just immediately aborted the print, pulled it off the bed, re-glued the bed, glued it very liberally, and then started the print again, and it printed beautifully 40 hours straight. So really, this model and this machine was running for about 56 hours straight, just trying to produce this model, finally. So again, the first one failure was really my fault, and that wouldn't have happened, and I could probably cut the time down on this model quite a bit if I wanted to. But also, I gotta say, this machine has turned out to be a real workhorse, just like I hoped it had. This was, again, one of the reasons I bought it, was I had seen a lot of videos with it, and it seemed like a bit of a workhorse, and I wanted to do a lot of printing, and I've done a lot of prints. I'll give guys a quick gander. I got the model here, got the Smythe stand, I got the dice tower, bender, a couple failed little Egyptian ones there, but these are all my Greek pieces. Another pharaoh, the box, another sword. Cross here, the sword for the Zelda sword, a couple models over there, and I've actually given away like 2 or 3 little models to friends too. So I managed to get quite a bit. I feel like I'm missing some of my models too. I managed to get quite a bit out of. So far, it's only been 3 rolls of filament, and it's been quite a few prints. Again, I've had a few issues off and on, like. I notice it's either my touch sensor's failing or I'm just failing in the way I prepare things, but I have got to the point where I stopped. Anytime I leveled the bed in the last few prints I tried after this skull, actually, it would, instead of before where I was having this thing where it would print, start the first layer too high, like a half a millimeter to a millimeter too high. Now it was starting at a millimeter too low. So I actually had a print or two where I was playing with the axis control and pausing the prints and having to raise it up, and it was just a nightmare, and I wasn't getting good results. And so anyway, I got one going, and instead of like I had a failure, I pulled it off the bed, and instead of leveling, I restarted a print, and it actually printed nice. It printed almost perfectly. It was the right layering right from the get-go. So the machine auto-homes itself every time you hit print from SD, but it doesn't necessarily level the bed. And it just seemed like one part of my bed, and again, it's probably because I'm not off, adjusting it properly. I still haven't done extensive maintenance on the machine. I did get a chance to give it a good cleaning over the last like half a day when it's been off, and that's been good because it's been on for like a week, and the whole last week it was printing straight through. I changed, like, it's had no time off or really had a break, because again, I wanted to stretch the limits and see how capable this machine is, and I've been pretty impressed so far. Again, I have no machines to compare it to. I've never used one, but it's been very successful and definitely satisfied. Even after I've only been printing for 3 or 4 weeks now. It's been very successful, and I've been very satisfied with it. And it seems like it's not slowing down. It's still making nice prints as long as I get it set up and going right. Again, much of the shortcomings, I believe, are more my fault than the printer's fault. Because once it's going, it's got the right layer. It prints very nicely, And one other thing I wanted to make a comment about for any newbies out there that are looking into getting this, and be prepared, set yourself up. If you notice here, I have a pretty nice table. I have a little basket over there. I just put wasted plastic in, but also you are going to make a mess. Like, I did not anticipate. I knew it would make a mess a bit, but I didn't anticipate the size of the mess that this was really going to make. Plus, now that I've started using a glue stick, there's glue powder everywhere. And be prepared to clean your area and your machine pretty often, because especially if you use glue, because I've noticed like occasionally the glue dust gets near my this like bearing here that rotates, or my lead screw motors, and that's little bits probably not going to kill it, but I know if a lot of it were to build up, that would probably cause a problem. So be conscious of all that, and I have this great thing, just a bicycle air pump, but pumps air like crazy, and I can blow most of this crap away. So set yourself up for success. I still haven't gotten all the right tools, but I have been pretty decent about keeping a clean area, so I suggest you do too. One other thing I gotta show you, a couple exciting filament choices coming up here. We have Hatchbox. One is white. I bought white because I want to just have a plain plastic that I can print and then paint any color. I have some friends asking for some things, and I figured it might just be easier if I get a white plastic and can paint it whatever rather than a colored one. I also got a silver plastic because I did want silver, and I read good things about the silver. And I wanted to have a dark and a light color. Another thing I got, which I also have to wait for, is Protopasta. This is their standard carbon fiber PLA, not the high temp one. I did want to get that, but this was on sale. It was just more in my budget at the time. And also, I still have the standard nozzle, so I'm not trying to overdo that. I'm going to order a brass one, 0.6 millimeter. I'm at a 0.4 right now. I read that I should be able to print without too many issues, but there's a higher possibility of having a clog or jam or just damaging or tearing through the nozzle. So I'm going to just probably do the carbon fiber in the next week or two after I get that. But so anyway, I hope that's been enjoyable, and you guys stay tuned for more videos. I got lots of plastic, and I'm going to have lots of prints coming, so have a good one. Peace.